Hello all, and welcome to tonight's beer review. It's almost 9:30, so literally the latest beer review I've done in a very long time. This is like usually the time I'm going to bed, but this is my day off, so obviously I stay up a couple hours late. And why am I up so late, doing this review so late? Well, I'm going to dub this review the irritating day, because it's just been like a really irritating day where nothing has like gone right. And yeah, I was having endless problems with this camera. I'm still having endless problems with this camera. It desperately needs to be replaced. But one of the issues was apparently for some reason, I don't know why, this desk had been moved. I hadn't noticed it had been moved. So it's catching a lot more of this light, this wall here, and so it was becoming really, really blindingly reflective. I've never noticed that before, so I was like trying to figure out what had happened. So I was adjusting my camera because the thing is so old, like the little base thing cracked off. So I had to go and put a new base thing on there from duct tape and paper. And yeah. So what are we reviewing tonight? Going straight into it. Well, today is Three Peaks night. Why? Because it's really funny. Every time I go there, it's like because they don't update their on draft list as often as it actually cycles out, and I'm not hitting them for that. I think that's a lot of places really. And so the beer I was looking forward to wasn't there, but they had another beer that sounded really interesting, and that was this one, which is Surf Pup Gose from Hana Brewing. Of course, a local brewing company. And of course, this being a local beer review with a very small local brewer, this is probably going to get no views. I've kind of noticed that the videos I make that get the most reviews are basically widely distributed premium liquors, but we do what we can. One of the irritating things today that really got me was one, I nearly got run over picking up lunch from my grandfather, and two, the washing machine wasn't working right, so laundry turned into like this, one load of laundry turned into like this 4-hour ordeal. But now there's beer to make it all better. So let's get this open, shall we? This is 5.0 ABV, and it is a Gose brewed with the addition of grapefruit and lilikoi. So I'm really looking forward to this. Pouring this into the tulip because I really want to smell this one. Ooh, this is, wow, pretty nicely carved. Take a look at that. I've never seen anything generate this much head from growler pour. So a clear pale yellow with almost pinkish overtones to it, probably from the grapefruit, with a fizzy to frothy thick white head. Redolent of wheat and funk, wet rock minerality, grapefruit, sea salt, all in all, nicely complex nose for a Gose. Nice interplay in between that minerality and that wheatened funk. Also slight fruitiness underneath that too. Let's get to the palate, shall we? Not tongue-scorchingly tart at all. Rather mildly tart. Grapefruit in the mids. And then a very long finish of almost doughy wheatiness. It's the first time I've ever had a light beer where the long finish is of the malts. It's just a brief flash of lilikoi up front. Really brief. Saltiness is there in the mid to finish. There's also minerality in the long finish too. This is probably the least tart Gose I've ever had. It's obviously acidic. It's obviously a kettle sour, but at the same time, there's not really much of that sweet tarts flavor to it, which is really what give really the acidity of it. And even underneath that, even under the tartness, there's just like a very subtle, almost imperceptible sweetness on the palate of the tongue, on the surface of the tongue. I'm so used to Gose as being such complete and absolute tongue scorchers of acidity that this is really quite strange. And it's something different, and it's interesting, but I think it is so low acidity that it really can't be held to, style. It's not to style. Whether or not you go and take it as the Goza style being, super sour, which is the modern American interpretation, or having a level of sour that can range from, super acidic, super tart, towards a more moderate and balanced level of acidity. This is really low acidity. I mean, it's briefly there in the front, but then it really becomes very much a malt show. Very much also the adjuncts in the mids there. Well, the lilikoi is more up front, but grapefruits in the mids. So what was interesting and complex? Is it a Gose? Well, the salt's there. You can definitely smell it in the nose, and it is perceptible on the palate. So, yeah, considering that there really isn't another beer with salt in it, I guess some forms of, Mexican cheladas could, but that's salt after the brewing and not in the brewing process. So I guess it is a Gose. But it's not what I'm expecting as a Gose. And as you know, so it goes. Yeah, I did. I went there. I made that pun. Goes down relatively easy too. You can see I'm pretty much pounding this thing. And part of that is because I went and had a large Chinese dinner, with only like a cup of tea with it. So, gotta wash out that kind of salt and MSG in my system right now. So, Surf Pup. What can I say about it? Well, it would be a very it's difficult to say that if this would be a very good introduction into sours because it's also got that wheaten funkiness to it and salt edge, which kind of pushes it a little bit further out there than other just mildly tart sours. But at the same time, it's pretty interesting, um, and I think it deserves being looked at that level. I do wish it was a little bit more tart. And now as it warms up, it's kind of becoming a bit more watery too. I do wish it just had a little bit more oomph there, more tartness, a bit more oomph. But I do like the wheaten aspect. I do like how the grapefruit and the lilikoi is working in there. And I also do like how the salt's working in there. I mean, on the nose, it's pretty clearly sea salt. And as it's warming up, it's actually getting quite a bit more of that salt kick in the finish. Not so much a long finish, but just a finish. Well, folks, Surf Pup, Gose from Hana. Interesting enough that it bears being looked at if you're in Hawaii. And considering that most of you aren't, and we'll skip over these local beer reviews, the 2 to 3 of you that do watch these local kind of micro and nano brewery beer reviews, definitely go and give it a shot. If you're in Kailua, go to Three Peaks and check it out while they have it. Or if you're in town, Hanakoa is apparently off of Kauai Avenue, which is kind of really very close to downtown and Kaka'ako. Well, folks, that's your beer review for this evening. Cheers.